Alright, you've heard of Autobots transform and roll out. Now we got adventurers, gear up and let's go. So this is, as you can see, Pathfinder's ultimate equipment guide. So basically all you need for all the equipment that you can get in a campaign. So basically all the weapons, armor, gear, and magic items you could ever need for a whole campaign set. So in the table of contents, you can see how it's actually broken down. So it gives a quick introduction on what this book is all about, and so what this video is all about. And then you can see as it breaks it down. Chapter 1 is all about the arms and armor. Chapter 2 is gear, so the pretty much like the odds and ends and stuff that you would need for adventuring. Chapter 3, as you can see, is magic arms and armor. Chapter 4, rings, rods, staves. Chapter 5, your wondrous items, kind of like your rarer type of items. And then in Chapter 6, you got your artifacts and your other items. Sort of like probably most of the famous ones are cursed items. So like if you get one of those from your DM, you know you done screwed up and everything. So, and it does have, like, as you can see, a bunch of appendices and everything. So as we delve into this in the introduction here, it's like most books with the introduction, it basically talks all about what this book is, and it breaks down the chapters, as you can see. And what's cool about I find about these Pathfinder books is each chapter has artwork, and you can see a little blurb and everything. So that's what's kind of cool about I have found about the Pathfinder books, is gives you in a sense a story blurb as an introduction to each chapter. So, and of course this starts off with armor, and it gives you a whole list of the whole types of armor that you can get. So it expands on what you would find in the player's handbook or the DM guide or whatever. So, and of course it gives descriptions of each item, along with for most of them it gives pictures. And so this is how this book pretty much is laid out, so that it pretty much goes over all the types of items, gives you descriptions, and like I said, for most of them gives pictures on what they actually look like, so you can kind of get that visual, oh, okay, so maybe the armor here, you can see I'm probably not going to even try to pronounce that, because my pronunciations always are terrible. So you can kind of see that one your typical samurai, though. So that's that first part. And then you can see it gives you a variant rule, as well as as DR. So for instance, some armors are better at full plate, for instance, would be better at defending against swords compared to maybe hammers. So you could do a variant role like that and everything. So it also gives you ideas for unusual characters. So maybe you are running a halfling, so or maybe someone a minotaur or something that are different sizes type of deal. So it gives you options for that and everything. So, and then of course we get into the actual offensive side of things with the weapons, and it gives you the whole. You can see how massive the weapon list is and everything. So, and several pages of just the list and everything. And of course, what's great about this is just in your typical player's handbook for both Pathfinder and D&D, they have the price, the damage, and the critical hit, and the whole information that you need for each weapon. And so just a couple tables for different types of the size for armor type deal, same kind of concept for weapons. And just like the armor, it gives description, plus for quite a few of them it gives pictures and stuff of each one as well. So that's what's kind of cool about this, is that you get those visuals, so that way you can kind of get an idea of what they look like, so you don't necessarily have to jump on your phone or whatever and look up and okay, what does this actually look like. This gives, like I said, the visuals for the actual weapons, and so like as like we kind of quickly flip through like the weapons, you can kind of like get like a small, like half of the pictures and stuff, and so then you actually can do like a kind of like a steampunk or Renaissance type of a campaign with the firearms. So like and like gives you same deal with the typical fantasy weapons. Gives you a table plus like the actual different pictures for like the different types of like stuff you want. So like I said, you could run like a steampunk and or like a Renaissance type of campaign with this, and so it get like then as you can see, it gets into like the different actual groups and everything, so it goes into further explanation of that, and like then it actually gets into like the special materials that you'll find. So like adamantine, cold iron, dark wood. You can see like basically like a stuff like of course everything people probably remember Mithril from Lord of the Rings. Gives you kind of like an uncommon material that you'd come across and everything. So it gives you like variants on the materials as well. So then you get right into chapter 2, which is all the adventuring gear. So like I said before, what's cool about I find cool about the Pathfinder books is it gives you the little blurb at the beginning, and it kind of gives you like the artwork and kind of to introduce you to kind of like, oh hey, like here's like something about this chapter. So as you can see, the table for this is pretty extensive, and then like it gets right into like all the adventuring gear that like kind of like that isn't necessary, but kind of like expands on it, like stuff that like you kind of like adventuring gear that you kind of like is easily overlooked for the actual gameplay and everything. So like kind of like little like odds and ends that like, I'm sure like creative players can find uses for in game and everything. So not showing everything, but kind of just giving a quick overview of each chapter, everything as you do the typical this typical flip through. So as you can see, like a whole different types of like stuff and everything that like odds and ends, and of course like even more so like tables, like that was like the actual adventuring gear. So like get into animals, mounts, and like their stuff that they use, and of course you got like tables for like as you can see like that you can get for pets and familiars, and like the different types of like animals that you could use in game that's are kind of like quite common that you come across. And of course like as you can see, just like the other chapters, they give like descriptions plus some like pictures of stuff in here. So like can't forget to give the monkey its symbols and everything. Yeah, funny. Bad attempt at a funny joke, I know. And so like you get into actual transportation and everything. So like usual pictures plus like descriptions, and like it gives like a price and stuff like okay, you can quickly like come across like, okay, if you wanted to buy a sailing ship or if you just wanted passage and everything. So yeah, it gives descriptions, prices, and stuff like that. Of course, you also get into like and of course that's like the transport and everything. Like we just tables right there that actually like goes across like the right here, and then gets into further detail. And of course, you have like pretty much like outfits. So like people that are like the more artistic inclined than I am, could take this stuff and kind of like build upon it. Like draw like do drawings of their characters based on like the stuff you kind of hear for like outfits and stuff. And so the table for the clothing is actually right here. So then you go into like build upon it even more. So like as like it has like these little tables and everything for, like I said, everything that you quite possibly come across for like in game. So this is a book for like, I know I reckon back to third edition, you find a lot of this stuff in like the DM guide and everything. Of course, it's like kind of like a condensed version of this book, because like in the DM guide you probably have like maybe 20-30 pages devoted to stuff like this, if that. And of course, this is a whole book that like, has hundreds of pages devoted to everything. So this like in a sense expands on all that stuff and everything. And so as you can see, like it gets even into like food and drink. So like you can expand upon like when in between adventures, like when they go to like the tavern or the inn or like a bar or whatever. So like it gives you stuff that you can create scenes around that and everything. And of course, like this whole book is like, as you can see, geared towards giving descriptions of everything, and it actually gives like pictures of stuff, so that way you get those visuals. And of course, like I said, lodging and services. So in between adventures and everything, it gives you like stuff that like, okay, like maybe like the adventurers did something illegal and they need a lawyer. Well, they can pay like the lawyer to kind of like in a sense like make charges go away or whatever. Like maybe they pissed off like the one of the local nobles or something, like they plundered a crypt or something that they weren't supposed to or something. So using ideas like that to kind of like expand even further on your adventure, so you can in between, like, and since dungeon crawls, you can do like adventures like in between scene adventures type of deal. So it helps build upon that. And so, and of course, then like we actually got the alchemical tools. Like of course, you can build upon like the alchemist class and everything. So like or like you can just maybe someone like maybe has like a skill or something that you pick up off the side that they can use for this table and everything. So and get into like all the typical stuff that you'd find for like stuff like that and everything, same kind of description. And of course, you now have like alchemical weapons. So like if you like go back and like to the beginning of this chapter, little like the little blurb and everything, it shows like gives the little blurb on like an alchemical weapon in action and everything. So holy water, the holy hand grenade of Antioch. It was like remember like a Monty Python will probably get that and everything. So that's like pretty much like the alchemical stuff. And then of course you get into like actual poisons and everything. So if you're like kind of like doing like a political intrigue type campaign, this is where something like this could come into great use for people. So then we actually get into like the pretty much like the meat and potatoes of this book is the whole magic items and everything. And so like just like before, we get the little blurb to kind of introduce this chapter and everything. So, and of course we get start off with the armor. It gets into like all the special abilities that you can put on armor, and so it gives like a description and like the type of bonuses it would give and everything. So like it goes in like each instance small table like this gives a description of each ability. And of course, like as you can see here, it actually has a table that you can break down. And so like what's great about stuff like tables like this, like usual, is that it gives you like a, as you can see, percentage, so you can like roll 2d10s or whatever. It's kind of like if you want to make stuff up on the fly or something. So it makes things like a lot easier to be able to, as a DM, be able to create stuff like that using those tables. And so like as you can see, like it goes basically from +1 all the way up to +5 and everything. So, and as you can see, usually like as you go up in ability, like a +2 would cost roughly 3 to 4 5,000. A +5 you're looking at like tens of thousands of gold coins that it would cost. So like obviously the more powerful like magic items and stuff that you create or you want to buy, the more it would cost, obviously. So it continues along with like different abilities. So like you even have like each table is slightly different for each type of armor. Like this one's geared towards shields, and of course like it gets into like the actual different abilities and gives like a price range. It gives what like what it is built, like an actual description of what each thing does and everything. So that's what all these like, little small tables. And of course you actually get into it gives you specific magic items. So in case you wanted to like pull out like a specific items to give people, it gives you like the actual same idea, what it's called in pictures and stuff and everything, so that way you kind of know what you're getting, so you can, like I said, those who are more artistic inclined than I am, can even draw pictures and maybe make variants on the artwork that's in here. And you got a table for the Pacific armor, so these pictures and descriptions are basically telling you got that table that you can use, as you can see, and as you can see, you always have the option of a rolling percentages to kind of get a random one, or you can just pick and choose, like I've said in other videos with those percentages tables. You can pick and choose, or you can, if you want something random, just roll. So the description list pretty much continues with the armor, and you got specific shields. Does the same thing with the, just like this whole book. This is pretty much how it's laid out. Descriptions, plus you get pictures for at least some of them, and then we actually get into the weapons, and so of course the special abilities. You get the typical percentage tables that you can roll for different types of abilities that you can get, and it basically goes up from as you can see, from minor, medium to major. So it kind of gives you the tables to be able to gear towards, whether it's low, mid, or a high level. So it gives you those tables to in a sense gear towards what your type of campaign that you're running at the time. And the typical special ability tables, and still it continues with the descriptions of the actual abilities, and that is what it does for everything. So it gives you the pricing, so it gives you a good idea of okay, depending on how what kind of campaign you're in, low magic or low and plus you don't want to spend that much on magic items, all the way up to high magic, all the way up, as you can see, plus 10. Plus it gives, and then it gets into the ranged weapons. So that first part was for melee, so kind of it distinguishes between melee and ranged, so and that way it's easier to find. And of course it continues along with the typical, all the different types of abilities that you can get for the ranged weapons here. So then you get into just like specific armor, you got specific magic weapons. You got the typical tables that you can roll percentages for, randomizing it, or you can pick and choose. It all depends on what you want to do as a DM, or what kind of campaign you're running with your players. So it goes all into description of all those specific weapons and everything, and it describes what they do and what they're all about and everything. So and that's pretty much what these tables are all about in this book, is describing every specific thing, so that way you can just find stuff easier. So, and rings, rods, and staves. So this way that it's not just the martial classes like the fighter, barbarian, ranger, and your fighting classes. You also have stuff for your actual spellcasters, like the sorcerers, wizards, and clerics and druids. So it starts off with the rings, and every chapter pretty much has the table for each type of item that I'll reiterate, has the percentages that you can roll for, you can pick and choose. And so it gives just like everything else, it gives a description of each type of a ring, and some of them does give actual pictures and stuff. So that's what this gets in. This chapter is getting into, is the magic items that not just wizards and clerics and your spellcasters can use, but rings like this and everything, stuff that are geared towards your martial classes, like your fighters and your barbarians and rangers. So, but once we get into this part, as you can see with the rods, this whole chapter with rods, this is geared towards your spellcasters and everything. So your percentage table that, like I keep saying, you can either roll or pick or choose, and it gives the descriptions of each type of rod. So like you can either roll or pick and choose, like depending on like what you're playing. So like if you're picking and choosing, you're doing that because you want to give them specific items, or if you just want to be totally random, you can roll. So like it's like I said in other videos, it's pretty much up to the DM's discretion whether you want to roll or pick and choose on those tables. So, and as you can see, this book is very in-depth on the descriptions on all the types of different items that you can come across, and not just like weapons and like your adventuring gear that we've gone over, but also your magic items and everything. And of course, now we get the staves, like your staffs. That like again, this part is geared towards more of your spellcasters. And you got your typical tables where you can, like I keep saying with these, you can pick and choose or actual roll like your percentage dice and everything. So, and it gives the typical, like pictures for some of them and descriptions for them, and like as you can see, like it shows like how much each one actually costs. So like if you wanted to have your characters buy stuff like this and everything, like well, in between adventures and everything, so of course buying them themselves like could be quite expensive. But of course, like everything, it's all at this like discretion of the DM and the players on what type of campaign they're ultimately playing. So then we get into we start getting into the actual power, the more powerful like planet busting stuff, and so the typical little blurb to introduce the chapter and everything. And so like here it gives you like an idea of like how things go, like as you can see, like think for those who played the games like World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, everybody's those who have played like your MMORPGs, you can kind of like harken to that, and like this is what it breaks down, like the different types of equipment, where you can put them and how much you can have, and it gives you like the picture of what goes where and how to use them. And so like with these wondrous items, it's like I said, it starts getting more into your planet busting type of like weapons. And of course, like if you look into like historical mythology and everything, like the belt of giant strength, the god Thor was famous for wearing a belt of strength to increase his strength and everything. So like something like this, you can see, is geared towards like your barbarians and fighters, so that way they can increase their strength and everything, so they can start like doing more damage. And of course, like the belt of incredible dexterity, it would be geared more towards like someone like a rogue or a bard and everything. So you've got your items that like, are geared pretty much towards like the classes and everything. Now, like pretty much like both those that I just mentioned could be used by either or, but like you wouldn't necessarily want to be a rogue using a belt of giant strength and everything. That belt of dexterity would be much more beneficial for you. So, yeah, but it gets into like it kind of like depends on what kind of character you're playing. So you can see like the different types of belts and like that you can use, and plus like it actually gets into like the kind of like clothing and stuff that you can use. And so maybe like extra like armor that you can like robes here that would be geared towards like your spellcasting characters. So like you can quite possibly use these to help them increase their AC or whatever, or like increase their spellcasting ability. So it depends on the item that you get and everything, and like again, this stuff just pretty much in a sense it creates even more options for the ability to play and everything. So, and as you can see, we keep going into like harkening back to that picture where it showed where each item goes and everything. So like it gets into like each, in a sense, like each item for like the typical body part on where it would go and everything. So like you can see like there are like goggles and stuff. So on the head, you got your boots that you can use. So again, stuff like these boots and everything. Like boots of speed would be beneficial to probably just about anyone. Boots of Elvenkind would probably be geared more towards like someone like a rogue or a bard, but like a barbarian or a fighter might be able to benefit from that. It all depends on the players and the DM, like with all these different types of items you have. So like this just is like a whole book devoted just to items that you can, gives you like a, in a sense, like an unlimited expansion on ideas for your campaign. And so you get into gloves, you get into like basically circlets and crowns that you can put on your head, helms, and it gets back to like what goes where with that picture of like on the body and everything. So a good old plague mask and everything. I'm sure most people remember 14th century Europe and everything, and historical context to that. And like the tables throughout them are basically the same percentage tables for each item, and so you can see the different headbands, and then like and then it gets into like your necklaces and amulets that you can wear around your neck and everything. So like, as you can see, like the necklace of fireballs would definitely be geared towards like your wizards and sorcerers to help them cast more spells to be able to help the fighters and everything. So shoulders, like basically as you can see your cloaks that you'd wear, and so like everything items are geared towards like any and all classes and everything. So like it's a matter of finding what you can use in your campaign for the types of characters that are you're running through. So like you might not necessarily do the traditional fighter, cleric, wizard, and rogue. You might be doing something like off that traditional four-party that four-party campaign, or like you might be running 6, or you might be running 4 different types of characters and everything. So, and of course, as this table gets into like slotless wondrous items, basically like a whole huge tables for like your lesser, medium, greater for like these wondrous items. And of course now it gets into the actual item description for all of them. And just like the stuff before, it has pictures and stuff for everything. And then like that's pretty much like the wondrous items as we kind of quickly finish up this chapter. And of course you can look at figurines of wondrous power. Fans of Drizzt will probably like remember Guinevere, so that's the concept of those figurines, and like different types of like and the wondrous items continue. And so like as I said, these this magical item chapter that you get is probably the bread and butter of this book and everything. So like you can kind of see like how like these not just the magic armor weapons, but like also raw staves and like these wondrous items take up a good portion of this book. And so then like the last chapter is pretty much your world busting stuff. You get into like the actual artifacts of the world. So like basically, like you said, your planet busting items that you'd come across. So probably like something that like you would come across on higher levels. And of course, I'm sure most people can recall the Deck of Many Things. There is a book that I got. It's called the Deck of Many Things that I will be going over eventually. Well, considering how many books I have still yet to go through. So as you can see, like it gives like just like all the rest of the book, it gives like a description and pictures, descriptions of all of the artifacts, plus description pictures of some of them. Like you can see here, like the Knucklebone of Fickle Fortune kind of describes and like what it can actually do, and like as you can see, you're rolling d20, the different abilities that you can call upon. So with these artifacts, like I said, these are the planet busting type of items, and like most likely you'd be coming across these like high level. And of course, some like what comes to mind is the upcoming like Eva Ruin with the Vecna, like the rod of like 7 parts is like an artifact that you come. Of course, that's geared more, like I said, the high end. So you start off at like level 10 or 11, and you pretty much get up to level 20. So like stuff like that. Like I said, these artifacts, these are geared more towards like higher end. Of course, now we're starting to get into that cursed items. So like if you're a player and you get one of these, you know you done fucked up and like you pissed off the DM for some reason. So you might be unlucky enough to get the headband of stupidity like, in that case and everything. So these cursed items, like I said, like you might have messed up and like pissed off the DM big time to get one of these cursed items, and like we again get into like intelligent items. So like sometimes you come across like a intelligent sword or like an intelligent piece of armor, and like this gets into like the whole description on how to like with the tables you can see here. Basically like how to pretty much create and run the intelligent items, and it's like it gives tables on like the item powers, the dedicated powers, and like its purpose, and like it gives you all these handy tables that you can like just like any other table, as you can see with them being percentages, you can roll and or you can pick and choose. So then it starts getting to like the specific gives you these specific intelligent items as examples and everything. And so just like everything else, it gives the actual description of each type of specific weapon and everything. And of course, like we now get into like to finish this book off, and like the appendices, like you're pretty much, as you can see, treasure generator. So like doing tables here, you can see like it gives you an idea on like like the level, how much you want to give per adventure and everything. So that way it makes it easy like for running like a loot generator for the DM. And of course it gives you a table for the NBC non-player character gear and stuff and so on. And like you see here like treasure coins and stuff like that, and gets like different tables for like different types of treasure. So like you may get the non-typical treasures like the art objects, as you can see here, that you can probably like turn around and sell at like in between adventures. As you can see, small coins, small objects for that table. Here we got a table for armor and weapons and combatant gear for this, and different types of like treasure. Layer specific treasure. You can see spellcaster gear. So it gives you like a bunch of like handy dandy tables for for specific treasures that you can use and everything. So like and you can see like tables for armor, shields, weapons, potions. Probably the most common one that you come across. And that's why you have a number of tables for that. And then like of course potions and oils continue. You got scrolls for you can see arcane scrolls, and it builds upon that like for the different levels, for like different level spells and everything. So like pretty much goes up through a whole list of like all the different level spells and everything. So all the way up to like the 9th level spells, as you can see. And of course the same kind of concept for divine scrolls, so that way your clerics and druids aren't left out in the cold, or left out in like screw you. And of course then like finishes off the scrolls, you get wands. So that way you have all these like tables that like as a DM rolling will make things a lot easier to kind of like quickly like just roll for the stuff. And of course like they get into the contributors for this and everything. So and gems, jewelry. So like basically like maybe you don't want to necessarily give just gold pieces, silver pieces. You want to give actual like gems and stuff that they can turn around and sell. And of course like you got like descriptions and you got one for like an art object. So like you might come across like a specific art, like a campaign idea would be like a noble is like a hires the adventure group to find like a piece of art, and then we get into like the actual index where you can quickly reference stuff and everything. So like index is pretty much finished off this book and everything. So, and of course you got like a couple ads for books and stuff in the back. So this is a lengthy one on the ultimate equipment. So just like the advanced player's guide, this one is an in-depth book to give you pretty much like a pretty open up like campaigns big time for your equipment and everything. So like this is like a definitely a good one for DMs to pick up and everything. As you can see, for be able to increase like as you can see, not only your usual equipment but your magic items and everything. So that's what this book is geared more towards, as you can see, is the magic items and everything. So it gives an expanse on all that. So these ultimate ones, like ultimate equipment, advanced player guide, advanced races, are just great for expanding your campaign.